You know me, I got to be the grumpy guy. So I don't go through life like that, but I just I don't even know how to explain it. I like to debunk things, but I just like to question things because I think it is always helpful to question things rather than like getting carried away by stuff. Now listen, I am also guilty of getting carried away with stuff and overreacting in the moment. I've done it, so I'm not really ripping anybody else. I'm saying it's like human nature, if you're a sports fan especially. But, after what Edman did yesterday, and again, Mr. Grump here is not in any way taken away from it because I thought it was magical. And I think a guy like Edman is the kind of guy you really love it when it happens because of his relentless energy and, all the different things he does for the team. But I think in the moment, there were some overreactions. Like, at The Athletic, there was a story where he was termed still incredibly clutch, and I don't even know what that means because is clutch actually a tangible skill? Is it actually a tangible quality? I think that's dubious at best, and I'm being polite there. But yeah, if that kind of thing exists, if there are going to be clutch moments, and if you're going to define it like that, he had a couple big ones in the last 2 games. But generally speaking, the whole clutch thing is kind of, I don't know. Good hitters get hits with runners in scoring position. Not always. Generally, your best hitters are going to be your best guys with runners in scoring position. And guys who are average hitters are going to be over a wide expanse of sample size. If they're average, a little bit above average, a little bit below average, their so-called clutch numbers are going to reflect that. Runners in scoring position, high leverage, and all that. So I don't think there's, you've got some unique DNA component, that makes you clutch. And I get it. Again, that's why I'm grumpy. The whole clutch hitting thing has always been a popular baseball term, and that's okay. But let's just be a little careful before we start, proclaiming that someone is incredibly clutch, because I won't get into the numbers. They're there, believe me. Edman, in his career, has been about average in, let's say, runners in scoring position situations. But against right-handed pitching, he's been below average in those situations. And you know what that means? It means just what I was saying. What Tommy Edman for his career has done with runners in scoring position, high leverage situation, they reflect and they're very similar to what he's done when he's just hitting, period. There is no clutch gene there. There will be clutch moments, but because you have clutch moments, it doesn't mean you have a clutch gene. It's not a DNA thing, okay? And that's where I kind of draw the line. But he had a hell of a game yesterday, and went in addition to his winning 2-run homer off Hader, Edman also stole 3 bases Wednesday. How rare is that? Well, I went to StatHead, the database, and checked it out. Edman is only one of 4 Cardinals to hit a homer and steal 3 bases in the same game. The others were Edgar Renteria. That was back in 2003, by the way. That's how long it's been. Vince Coleman and Lou Brock. That's not bad. That's good. That's a hell of a day right there, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
But for the let me just go through this. For the 2023 season, Edman is 8% below average offensively with runners in scoring position. He's right at league average, as I said, for his career. But he's 9% below average against right-handed pitchers when he bats with runners in scoring position. So in the big picture, does that mean that he's clutch? No, it doesn't. Sorry. And that's another concern about Edman. His platoon split issue can be problematic based on, weighted runs created plus, which is not an esoteric stat. It just sounds that way. It's just like OPS plus, but it's better. Based on WRC plus, he's 17% above league average offensively versus lefties over the last 4 seasons. And he's 11% below average against righties. He's 18% below average against right-handed pitchers this year. So if you really want to be honest about this, that's an issue going forward because I updated the stat. 21, 22, 23 combined the last 3 seasons. Right-handed major league hitters, they've taken 73% of their plate appearances against right-handed pitching. So you can't dismiss that. Well, who cares? He hits lefties. Yeah, but he don't see many lefties. That's the point. Your numbers are gonna largely be shaped by for the season are going to be shaped by what you do against right-handed pitching. And if you're truly objective about Edman, if you can separate the fact that he's a very likable player that brings energy to the team, versatility to the team, definitely speed to the team, it's okay to say I really like him because of that stuff. I really enjoy watching him play because of that stuff. But if you want to be objective about value of performance, he's a liability against right-handed pitching. And every time he has a good 3 or 4 days against right-handed pitching, Bernie, I thought you said he's terrible against right-handed pitching. He's not good. You can cherry pick 2 or 3 games here and there, but no, over the course of his career, not very good. Every number confirms that. Do his teammates love him? Yeah. Ali Marmol loves him. Yeah. He's under contract and can become a free agent until he can't become a free agent until 2026. His salary is $4.2 million this year. It's going to go up again in 24 and 25. And this has not been a great season for Tommy. His defense, while mostly good, has been a little bit off, playing the infield anyway. And among 10 Cardinals that have at least 300 plate appearances this year, again, 10 Cardinals. He's 7th in wins above replacement. He's 8th in OPS. He's 8th in batting average. He's 8th in slugging. He's 9th in WRC plus, which means he's 6% below league average offensively. He has, on the other side, he's played really well in center field, and he's motored to a team leading 20 steals and 22 attempts. He had 32 last year. Maybe he'll get close to that this year. But here's the thing. We've had this discussion before. If the Cardinals are serious about making a trade or two for an upmarket starting pitcher in the coming offseason, the John Mozeliak season, I'm sure they're going to get some calls about their 2 super utility dudes, Edman and Brendan Donovan. And just the snapshot look at that is Donovan's got he's a much better on-base percentage guy than Edman. He developed more power before that elbow injury ended his season at the end of July. Edman's considerably faster than Donovan, generally has more skill defensively than Donovan, but Donovan's solid defensively. Edman can play center field and play it well. Donovan does not play center. So they each have their pluses and minuses when you compare them against each other. Edman's got better numbers obviously against lefty pitching because Donovan swings left-handed, but Donovan has a substantial edge over Tommy Edman against right-handed pitching, and that's especially true when you look at their when they're on base, their career on-base percentages against right-handed pitching. Donovan's is 381, Edman's is 316, and the whole key to an offense is on-base percentage. You got to avoid outs. You got to avoid outs instead of make outs. So the more often you get on base, the more outs you avoid making. Pretty simple. But I got some questions about this. So are the Cardinals willing to move Nolan Gorman, age 23, if that's part of some demand in a trade package for a premium starting pitcher? The Gorman thing's interesting to me because when he's in one of those rampage modes, it's like all the comment sections, everything else, it's like, don't you dare think about trading Gorman, Then when he goes in a slump, and he is in a bad one now, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, it's just like, well, okay, I'll trade Gorman. We're all very fickle when it comes to Nolan Gorman. I'm not quite as bad as some of y'all, but I understand why you get that way because I get a little bit that way. But my way of being fickle about Nolan Gorman, I just give you the numbers. I take personal feelings out of it. And to that end, he's only played 5 games since returning from a lower back strain. Gorman's 1 for 13 with 11 strikeouts. Whoa! He struck out 11 in 15 plate appearances. That's 73%. In August, 192 average. He's only slugged 315, and he struck out 45% of the time. So what that means is, okay, you can trade him, But I'm not so sure. I don't have to make that decision, period, because it's not my job. But I also don't feel like making that decision now. I want to see if there's going to be more back issues. But you know what's funny about that? Like, I was reading comment sections today, and people were saying, well, I'd trade Gorman because he's going to strike out a lot. Well, yeah, he's going to strike out a lot even when he's doing great. Well, he's got these back problems, and those back problems concerned me. So, I would trade him if that's the price for getting a good starting pitcher. Yo, my friends. You don't think the other teams know about his back problems? You think it's a little St. Louis secret that we all have? Nobody outside knows? All those teams with pitching like Seattle and all these teams, the Chicago White Sox, whatever. You don't think they look into the back situation with Nolan Gorman? You don't have a scoop there, okay? If you're saying trade him because of his back, well, other teams are going to say, well, why would we give up so much for him? His back may not be good. So this is not going to be an easy winter for our boy, John Mozeliak. It's just not. There's a lot of things to decide. But a couple more things about this. Look, I don't normally break down offensive performance into components based on where they're playing, but I don't know why this is, but I want you to listen to these numbers. Because everybody says, I don't blame him. He's looked good in center field this year. He really has, although I think it wears him out. And I think maybe all that running and slamming into walls and diving and all that stuff. Tommy Edman gets beat up during the season because he plays so damn hard. To his credit, he plays so hard. But, he also, there are consequences for that. He wears out. And we've seen it. We love him, but we know that he wears out during the season. And I wonder if there's a correlation between that and him playing in center field, in the outfield. He's had over 400 career plate appearances playing the outfielder, and he's got a 241 average when he does. His on-base percentage is less than 300, which is terrible. His slugging percentage ain't much. When he plays the outfield, he's 21% below league average offensively. When he plays center field this year, okay, check this out. 119 plate appearances playing center field. Tommy Edman's hitting 176. He's got a 252 on-base percentage and a 296 slug. He's 48% below league average offensively. That's about as bad as it gets. I'm serious. Don't get mad at me. I love Tommy too. But if we're going to evaluate performance, we got to evaluate performance, right?
Yep.
And I don't know what it is about him playing the outfield, but it has impacted his hitting. And this is what concerns me because, you read some pieces and it's like, oh, he's so valuable to the Cardinals and he's a huge part of their future and Ollie loves him and his teammates love him and everybody loves him. Well, who the hell are you going to trade then? If somebody wants Tommy Edman or Brendan Donovan, you got to think about it if it's going to get you what you want. And if you got designs of making him your center fielder, I'm sorry, based on what we know to this point, he doesn't hit to the level to be your starting center fielder. And I know defense is important because there's no one in this town that has made more fuss about their defense this year than the big mouth here. But the Cardinals have this chronic, I don't want to hear like, well, Ollie loves him. Oh, the coaches love him. He's beloved by his teammates. Okay, I get it, and I don't disagree with that. But when we're talking about the Cardinals, particularly their front office, what is it? What are some of the things we all say? I'll tell you one thing we all say. They got a really bad habit of overrating their own players. And the baseball minds have made too many mistakes in evaluating players and pitchers on this roster, which is one of the reasons why they're in the shape they're in 2023. So this whole thing is just like, oh, everybody loves Tommy. Do other teams love Tommy? Do they want him? Do they see him as a missing factor that they don't have? They don't have much utility guy, versatility defensively, speed. Maybe they really covet him. Even though his performance is really down this year. Is that because it's just one of those years, or does it point to something else? I don't know. But this idea that somehow, and the feeling is out there, at least with some, and it's there with some of the vibes you pick up from the Cardinals, that somehow Tommy Edman's untouchable. Please. Please. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
But that's kind of the whole St. Louis Cardinal thing. Everybody's got – it's just – I tell you what, here's what you don't do. And I'm not comparing him to an animal. If I did compare him to an animal, it would be a positive. It would be a compliment. Here's what you don't do. Let me tell you some example of, like, what you don't do. In the Cardinals, in Cardinals fans, they always have, like, their pets. They just love their pets. Some guy, they don't like a lot of them. They'll send them to the Humane Society. But they love their pets, man. Once they decide a guy's one of their pets, that's it. They love him forever. And I can relate to that because here's what you don't do. Okay, you never do this, all right? We got 4 cats at home, last I checked, unless Miss Bernie's added another one. Here's what you never do. You never let Mrs. Bernie or myself go to a rescue shelter, animal shelter. Somebody in the neighborhood has had a kitty litter. Her sister who's got kittens. You don't let us go near them because then we're going to want. Oh man, we love him. Oh, we love that little girl. That little baby. Let's take her home. You just don't do it. You have to make a clear-headed decision.
That's right.
Well, especially if you already have 4 cats. You just got to be careful about falling in love, and I guess that actually applies to romance as well. I think we've all had those kind of relationships where you're like, man, I know I fell in love, but I don't know now. That does not apply to any current circumstances, of course. I'm talking about the past. So Tommy Edman's kind of like that. It's like, who doesn't love Tommy? But especially after he does 2 really great things, 2 great games, made everybody so happy. Me too. It's like, let's not get carried away here. So much today, it's like, well, he's one of their indispensable players. Why? Why? I mean, I'm not saying you give him away. You don't. But I'm tired of the Cardinals, and this applies to the front office. It's like, how many times did they stay with an outfielder who can't stay on the field or can't hit? Dylan Carlson is a ghost. And I think by the time he gets back, if he does, Dylan Carlson's going to weigh like 79 pounds.
Yeah.
He can't hit the damn ball out of the infield, right?
Yep.
And it's like, how many bad decisions do they make because they overrate their own players and they fall in love with their own players? And it leads to disastrous roster decisions. Don't do this again. If you have a chance to make your pitching staff better, don't do that again. You can't afford to do it again. I don't trust Mo, though. But anyway, sometimes I actually feel bad because I do sound like such a grouchy guy. I'm not. I'm just going to where the numbers are, and I'm going to what the trends are, and I'm going to what the future holds. And what the past holds. What do you mean the past? They overrate their own players. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, no, we got to keep him. Why? The Cardinals have – that dude down in I admit that I'm obsessed.
Saggese?
The dude – yeah, Saggese. Yeah. You know what he's been doing down there? I'll tell you if you don't know.
Please do. I know, but
it actually cracks me up. And I know it's Double-A, but except you got to understand something about this second baseman, third baseman. Every level of the minor leagues, he's hit like hell. He's only 21. So, real quick on Thomas Saggese, who they got in the Montgomery Stratton deal. This is through last night. He's played 26 games for Double-A Springfield, and he's going to be in Triple-A knocking on the door next year. 26 games for Springfield. He's got 16 extra base hits, including 9 homers and 100 at-bats.
That's crazy.
He's hitting .347. He draws walks. He's got a .424 on base percentage. He's slugging over .700. He doesn't strike out much. He really doesn't. He draws walks. He's got easy power, as the scouts call it. Does that sound like a guy you might want to, create a spot for here relatively soon in the near future?
It does.
I think it does. That's why the Cardinals insisted that he be included in that deal. They've had their eye on him. They got the other guy from Baltimore who's at AAA, a second baseman, third baseman, maybe a little shortstop. He's putting up good numbers, but Saggese's numbers are sick. They're crazy. And they're not some kind of fluke. You just look at his numbers wherever he's been. Hit, and then hit some more. So where are you going to put all these people? Where they? All you do, Mo and Marmal, all you do is create log jams, and then you whine about, we've had too many log jams. Well, who's responsible for that? It ain't me. It's not Jimmy Hewer.
No, not me.
It ain't Fred Bird. Well, we have log jams, and it makes it difficult. Yeah, we know. Here's an idea. Try to avoid creating log jams. But I'm telling you, with all this, we can't. No, you can't trade Tommy. No, you can't trade Donovan. Oh, no, you can't trade that guy. But then everyone's going to be hollering to bring up Saggese next year, and and then it's going to be like, well, wait a minute. Where are you going to play all these people? Welcome to another log jam. I don't know.
It is going to be an interesting watch on how they move some of these parts. There's a texter here that says, I don't think you get a quality major league starting pitcher for Edman, Donovan, or any of our outfielders that they're willing to trade, though.
Yeah, it's got to be a package. They can be part of a package. I agree with that. And the other thing, that's another thing that drives me a little batty, right? There's still a sentiment out there. It's like, well, don't trade Edman. Don't trade Donovan. And again, it depends on the day whether Gorman has just struck out 3 times. It depends on the day. They want to trade him one day, next day it's like, don't you dare. But there's still people out there that think, because I see it all the time. I monitor things. I see it all the time. I hear it all the time. Well, the Cardinals can put together something, where you got, where you got O'Neill and Burleson and Carlson and, and you could afford to do that. Well, yeah, you could. But what the hell are you going to get? You think you're getting a number 1 or number 2 starting pitcher? You think you're getting premium stuff for a package where 2 of those 3 guys is like a big part of the deal? My goodness, do we get detached from reality? To my dear friends out there, just kind of the way it works. If you hate a player and you're sick of watching him, or you're saying, oh, he's got a bad back, well, why would the other teams want them if they're going to give you a great starting pitcher? Right?
It's true. But we need one, Bernie. We need a pitcher. We just send them a bunch of this and a little of that. They'll go for it. We're the Cardinals, man.
The one way you can fall into something in a way, and I'm probably being a little unfair because, listen, John Mozeliak and Bill DeWitt get credit for acquiring Goldschmidt and Arenado, although because they gave up nothing. And but you have to understand, Goldschmidt, in a quiet way, forced himself out of forced to trade. He made it clear to Arizona he would welcome a trade, and he's such a polite guy. When he goes to their owner in front office, says, I would welcome a trade. St. Louis would be great, for example. With Goldie, that's like a guy going on ESPN and like screaming he wants out, right? That's Goldie's version of that.
Yeah.
And Arenado didn't even try to conceal his contempt for the Rockies, and he made it very clear publicly, very loudly, he wants out. So when you have guys making pretty big money, the owners don't like that. General manager's like, well, man, this will tear a whole team apart. We can't have this. So, yeah, the Cardinals struck, to their credit, they struck at a really good time, and those 2 players wanted to be here specifically. But the Cardinals have offset the value in those trades because they've wasted This is the third year of those two playing together. And the Cardinals have wasted 3 years. They have not won a postseason game. They got into the playoffs two years simply because they beat up on a bunch of tomato cans in the NL Central. That wasn't the case this year. The Cardinals are the ones that are the tomato cans. They have wasted those years of Goldie and Arenado, and they ain't getting any younger. So I give them credit for the trades, but if you don't maximize the trades by putting a really strong team around the guys that you were fortunate to get for, some pretzel sticks or whatever, then what's the point of making the trade? I don't know.
They got a lot of work ahead. One more thought. During this segment, you brought up Nolan Gorman's numbers real quick, how bad they've been since he returned.
It's only 5 games, but still. He wasn't doing much right before that injury either.
I watched him the other night in his at-bat, and they had the camera on him the whole time. So I was like, Bernie, I'm telling you, I think he's still hurt. I watched him fidget and twist and turn just a little bit with the shoulders while he's up there trying, and he appeared like he couldn't get loose. He was just, you could just look at him, and he wasn't comfortable. And I think the kid's dealing with more back issues, and the longer this goes, I mean,
yep.
If it is, shut him down and try and get it figured out. Or if it's just a recurring thing, there's the danger. And there's, all the people crying, well, trade him, he's got a bad back. Well, I don't know what his value will be because everybody else is going to pick up on that. I'm really worried about that back situation with him.
Well, and, here I go again, and for those of you who heard me say this 1,000 times, I'm not trying to beat the old, dead horse. I hate that cliche, by the way. I got to find a new one. I don't trust that staff. Why would anybody trust that staff?
It's hard to have any belief in it right now.
That's why I said, and, of course, I don't even know who Gorman's agent is, but if you remember when this back thing flared up again, I said, look, if this young man is smart and he pays attention to stuff that happened before he got here, and if his agent is smart, the first thing you do and do it ASAP is to send him out of town to get an evaluation, an analysis, an opinion on this back. You cannot trust the team that pays you to give you an accurate read on the situation. You cannot trust them. And your career could be influenced by this. Get on a plane and wherever it is you need to fly to go to one of the best specialists in the country for this type of problem. You better be on the next damn flight if you know what's good for you.
That is very true. Very true.
Man, all I do is holler, though. I'm a menace to society.
Well, I mean, the Carlson thing, he got a bad ankle, then he's fine, and then, now he's got this and a bad ankle, and he's probably going to have surgery.
You got a sprain? Well, he's got a sprained ankle. He'll be bad. We're going to give him a couple days. And then 2.5 months go by since he sprained the ankle, and it's like, that ankle thing's pretty serious. He may need surgery.
Wow.
I mean, what in God's name is going on out there? And why does Bill DeWitt want to throw away money on play? Bill DeWitt, who gets accused of being cheap, somewhat unfairly. He just doesn't go to that extra length sometimes. But why would a frugal Bill DeWitt want to waste money on players who are always on the IL, in part because an injury was misread or an injury was underestimated or an injury for whatever reason turned out to be more serious? How much money do you want to throw away? It's mind-boggling.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.